The fluorescent lights above the gas pumps hum with a low, dissonant buzz that seems to vibrate right against my skull. It is 3 in the morning, and the silence of the Nevada desert is not empty. It is heavy, pressing against the reinforced glass of my booth like a physical weight. My name is Elias, and for the last 72 hours, I have been trapped in a waking nightmare that defies every law of logic I once held dear. There is a man sitting at the single metal table near the far end of the store aisle, the one tucked behind the stacks of lukewarm soda and bags of stale chips. He arrived on a Tuesday, pulling up in a sedan that had no license plates and headlights that didn't flicker so much as they bled light into the darkness. He walked in, placed a single silver coin on the counter, and asked for a coffee. He never finished that coffee. He never left. And for the past 3 days, I have been watching the reflections in the security monitors, waiting for him to move, waiting for him to blink, or perhaps waiting for him to realize that he died a long time ago. When you work the night shift at a station this far removed from civilization, you learn to appreciate the monotony, the rhythm of the pump, the occasional truck driver stopping for a stale sandwich, the way the wind howls through the scrub brush. It is a predictable cycle, or at least it was until he arrived. The man is tall, dressed in a gray suit that looks like it was tailored in a different decade, perhaps even a different century. His hair is slicked back, thin and brittle, and his skin holds the dull, waxy translucence of a candle left too long in the heat. When he entered, I remember the bell above the door didn't chime. It gave a sharp, metallic snap, like a wire breaking under tension. I greeted him as I always do, with a weary nod and a practiced smile, but he didn't look up. He simply placed that coin down. It was heavy, stamped with a seal I didn't recognize, and it felt ice cold even through the rubber gloves I wear to handle the registers. He walked to the table in the back, sat down, and folded his hands. He has remained in that exact posture for exactly 72 hours. During the first night, I assumed he was waiting for a ride, or perhaps resting after a long stretch of highway driving. I made my rounds, stocked the shelves, and kept an eye on the clock. Every 30 minutes, I walked past his table, expecting to see a change in his posture or hear the rustle of clothing. There was nothing. No rhythmic breathing, no shifting of weight, not even the faint sound of a heartbeat. By the second night, the dread began to settle in my chest, a cold, hard knot that refused to dissolve. I tried to talk to him. I walked over, my footsteps echoing against the linoleum, and asked if he needed help or if he was waiting for someone. He didn't respond. He didn't even turn his head. His eyes were wide open, locked onto the blank wall behind the cigarette display. When I got closer, I noticed the smell. It wasn't the stench of decay that one might expect from a corpse, but the sharp, sterile scent of ozone and wet earth, the smell that lingers in the air just before a massive lightning strike. I retreated to my booth, my hands trembling as I reached for the telephone. The line was dead, not just disconnected, but completely silent, as if the wire had been severed at both ends. I checked the monitors again, hoping to see him stand up, walk to the door, and vanish into the night. Instead, I saw something that turned my blood to ice. In the grainy black and white feed of the camera focused on the aisle, his reflection was not in the chair. His reflection was standing directly behind me, mere inches from my shoulder, staring into the camera lens with a grin that stretched too wide for a human face. I spun around, heart hammering against my ribs, but there was only the empty air of the booth. When I turned back to the monitor, he was back in the chair. His hands folded, his eyes fixed on the wall. He was playing with me, teasing the edges of my sanity, testing the structural integrity of my mind. If you have ever felt like you were being watched, even when you knew you were alone, you understand the suffocating nature of this silence. If you enjoy stories that peel back the curtain on the things that lurk in the gaps of our reality, consider subscribing to this channel so we can continue to explore these inexplicable encounters together. Your support helps me keep the lights on, even when the shadows refuse to stay where they belong. The third day brought a shift in the atmosphere. The hum of the fluorescent lights reached a fever pitch, a high-frequency whine that made my teeth ache. The air in the store grew thick and humid, turning the glass of the windows into a wall of condensation. I found myself staring at the coins in my register, comparing them to the silver piece he had left on the table. They felt like toys compared to his. His coin was vibrating now, a subtle, rhythmic thrum that traveled through the wood of the table and into the floor. I began to notice things I had previously ignored. There were footprints in the dust on the floor near his table, but they didn't lead to the door. They led to the wall, right up to the baseboard, and then stopped. It was as if he had stepped out of the wall itself and simply sat down to wait. I started to wonder if he was waiting for me. Was he a messenger? Was he a remnant of a tragedy that occurred on this stretch of road long before the pavement was poured? I looked through the old logs in the back office, records that went back decades to when this place was just a wooden shed and a hand-cranked pump. I found an entry from 1954, a report of a traveler who vanished in a storm, never seen again, despite his car being found idling in the lot. The description was vague, but the detail about the silver coin was specific. The ink on the page seemed to shimmer as I read it, the words shifting slightly when I looked away. The sun went down on the third day, and the desert turned a bruised, deep purple. I stopped trying to leave. I realized that the door was no longer a way out. It was merely a frame for the infinite darkness outside. I sat in my booth, watching him, watching the way his stiff posture seemed to lean harder into the silence. He had begun to change. His hands, once waxy and pale, were now turning translucent. I could see the grain of the wooden table through his fingers. He was fading, or perhaps he was finally anchoring himself to this spot. I walked over to the table one last time, driven by a morbid curiosity that outweighed my fear. I stood directly in front of him. I didn't ask questions this time. I looked into his eyes, and for a split second, I didn't see the interior of a gas station reflected there. I saw a vast, unending highway that stretched into a void lit by stars that didn't belong to our sky. His eyes flickered then, the first movement in 3 days. He didn't look at me, he looked through me. He whispered something, a sound like dry leaves skittering across pavement. It wasn't a language I knew, yet I understood the intent. He was not a customer. He was a barrier, a lock on a door that was never meant to be opened. His presence, his stillness, his very existence was holding back something that lives in the static of the universe, something that feeds on the loneliness of the night shift. As he spoke, the lights in the store popped, one by one, showering the floor in sparks and shattered glass. The darkness didn't rush in. It surged, thick and viscous, filling the room like water. I backed away, stumbling into the aisle, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I looked back at the table. He was gone. The silver coin was gone. The only thing left was a faint, scorched indentation where his hand had rested. The silence that followed was different. It wasn't the heavy, pressing silence of before. It was a hollow, echoing silence, the kind you find in a tomb that has finally been unsealed. I am sitting here now, writing this on the back of a delivery receipt, my hands shaking so violently that I can barely form the letters. The sun will rise in a few hours, but I don't know if it will bring warmth or if it will simply expose the emptiness of the world I returned to. The gas pumps are silent. The road outside is devoid of life. I checked the security monitors once more, hoping to find a glimpse of the morning light, but the screens are flickering with static. And in that static, I can see him again. He is standing at the edge of the frame, his hand resting on the handle of the door, waiting for someone else to pull in, someone else to stop, someone else to take the night shift. There is a car pulling into the lot now. I can hear the crunch of gravel under the tires, a sound that is too loud, too deliberate. The headlights are off, but the internal lights of the sedan cast a long, swaying beam across the concrete. I should turn the sign to closed. I should lock the reinforced door and hide in the back room until the dawn breaks. But I find myself standing up, walking toward the register, my hand reaching out for the key. The bell above the door is silent, but I can feel the change in the air. The ozone smell is back, stronger than before, sharp enough to burn my lungs. I know who is in that car, and I know why they have come. The cycle must continue. The station needs a witness, and the void needs a guardian. I adjust my apron, smooth my hair, and force a smile onto my face as the door slowly begins to creak open. I don't know if I will be here when the next person takes over, or if I will be the one sitting at the table in the back, waiting for the cycle to restart. All I know is that the desert is vast, the night is long, and there are things that thrive in the spaces where we think we are alone. If you find yourself driving through the high desert, if you see the lights of a lone station blinking in the distance, keep driving. Do not stop for coffee. Do not look for a place to rest. Because some things that appear to be real are merely echoes of a past that refuses to stay buried. And once you step into their circle, you might find that you never truly leave. I look at the door, and the figure standing there is me, or at least it is a version of me that looks like it has been waiting for a very long time. I reach out, my fingers brushing the cool glass of the counter, and I finally understand the weight of that silver coin. The mystery is not why he stayed, but why I'm still here to tell you that he never really arrived at all. It was always me. It has always been me. And now it is your turn to watch the monitors, to listen to the hum of the lights, and to wait for the next traveler to pull into the lot. The night is far from over, and the road ahead is longer than you can possibly imagine. Keep your eyes on the shadows, and pray that the dawn brings more than just a change in the light. This is the truth of the night shift, the truth of the desert, and the truth of the things that wait for us at the end of the line. Just remember, when the bell doesn't chime, it is already too late to turn back. The story doesn't end with me. It ends with the next person who stops, the next person who wonders why the station is open in the middle of nowhere, the next person who becomes a part of the legend. Stay alert, stay safe, and whatever you do, do not, under any circumstances, sit at the table in the back. The silence is hungry, and it has been waiting for a long time to be fed.